Hi, so good afternoon. I'm just going to be going over a little presentation about the steps in a trial, as well as some evidentiary concerns that can occur. So first of all, there's kind of like the pre-trial occurrences, what happens before a trial even has to occur. The defendant, of course, is caught, arrested, then put in jail. There's an initial hearing. The judge will read him what he's being charged with, and then you can either go to a preliminary hearing or like a trial. And of course, we're going to kind of go along the road of it's going to trial. So first of all, jury will be selected. Evidence, kind of evidentiary issues that can occur at this part are that specific people that are chose to be jurors can be biased, racist, sexist, something like that, and that can put a difficult kind of bias on the whole jury and cause some issues that way. Next, there's of course opening statements. It provides the first impression of the case and then shapes the impressions of the jury. An opening statement forecasts to the jury the evidence that's going to be presented and then what they're going to see and hear at the trial. It allows the jury to know what to kind of expect, and then so that they can kind of understand the evidence if it's a little bit difficult. So that's where some of the difficulties can tie in. If it's evidence that's a little bit more difficult to understand, it needs good explaining, and if it's not explained correctly, then the evidence is it's not going to function correctly, and the jury is not going to be able to make a firm decision from that. Of course, the opening statement doesn't have like arguments because the fact that there's nothing really to argue to. It's just factual statements that usually goes from 10 to 30 minutes. Witness testimony and cross-examination. The evidence is presented to the juries, and then this is where some arguments can tie in to try and sway the jury from one side to the other. Some evidentiary issues that can occur is witness testimony actually isn't that accurate. I was trying to place a video where it shows that eyewitness testimony changes and it's not super accurate, and it shows that colors as well as our mind fills in that information that we think we saw but we actually didn't see. Solid evidence is what we really want to focus on. Real evidence, like tangible things such as the weapon that occurred, that was used. A demonstrative kind of model. Some kind of documentary, like a letter, blog post, or other document that could be used as evidence is beneficial. And then a testimonial. Like I said, testimonial I put last because of the fact that it's still beneficial, but not as good as actual real evidence. And then, of course, the closing arguments. The purpose of the closing argument is to present arguments that would trier the facts, kind of dispose of the facts based on evidence presented at the trial. It allows people to analyze and then apply the evidence. During the trial, the trier will have observed the case in bits and pieces. So the jury will have kind of observed the case in these bits and pieces. The closing argument's kind of the cherry on top to sum everything up and then to paint a nicer picture so they can see what actually occurred. And most of the time, no new evidence will be presented at this point. That's another one of the kind of issues that can occur is if a specific evidence wasn't portrayed correctly, this time during the closing arguments probably would not be the smartest point to be able to maybe explain that. But if it's going to be beneficial for the case, it might actually help. And then the jury's instructions, they deliberate, and then there's of course a verdict. The jury will be told what to do, allowed the time to kind of deliberate, and then they will come to a verdict. Of course, no evidence will be shown at this point, and then once the verdict is read, it's final unless some type of appeal is requested. And that's it. Here's all my references, and I really hope you enjoyed my presentation.